All right. So, Parker, one of the things I wanted to do today was follow up on a conversation that we had last week when we talked about how abysmal the Orioles are doing and how everyone and their mother and brother knew it was going to be due to the pitching for the most part. And I want to give a shout out to one of the folks that listens to us, Mr. Big 0606 on YouTube, commented on the Orioles video we posted last week. And he said, hey, essentially the Orioles should, pick up the phone, call the Astros, and try to get Framber Valdez. And that got me
Okay.
thinking, Parker, let's come up with some ideas because clearly Michael Elias is doing shit. So why don't we, help a brother out and give him some people he can go after today that he can get to fortify the Orioles pitching. So we're going to go back and forth. Let's go one by one here. Parker, who did you think the Orioles could get today? Give me one.
Okay. One thing I want to point out real quick. Thank you so much, Mr. Big 0606. If you guys leave comments, we will talk about this type of stuff on the podcast. We'll post the clip also at the end. So you guys will probably see yourselves being talked about and the things that you say on the podcast. So thank you very much for your recommendation. I do think it's a terrible recommendation.
Don't be a dick.
I'm just being a dick. I don't think that
I think it's great, Mr. Big.
Happen. Yeah. I don't think that particular move would happen. Why? The Astros are currently a game out of the wild card. They are 22-20. They look to be poised to try to make a playoff run. Holy fuck. The Twins are on an 11-game win streak. Didn't they do this last year?
Wait, hold on. Pause for
the Twins are on an 11-game win streak.
They are.
Oh my God.
Well, all right. Guess what, Parker? While you're talking about it, hold on. While you're talking about it, the Cardinals in their last 10 or 9-1, they had a 10-game win streak here recently.
That's crazy.
They're one game out of first behind the Cubs now. The Cardinals.
That's going to be a fucking great division to look at. All right, that's been win streak talk. Right. Late night win streaks. Holy shit. So the Astros just got completely dogged by the Minnesota Twins to lose the third wild card spot. And they are currently a game out of the wild card. Now, I just don't think that Framber Valdez leaves that roster. I know I believe he's slated to be unrestricted free agent at the end of the year, and I think that's why the recommendation was made, which at the end of the day makes perfect sense. I see where you came from, Mr. Big. But I don't think the Astros are looking to part with any pitching. I think that they're looking to make a run. Now, my first name is the most obvious name. We've talked about it before. I figured I would put him on my list because...
Wait. Don't leave Framber, okay? Hold on. I should have said this before. I took Mr. Big's idea and put it into baseball trade values to see if we can make a deal, all right?
Okay.
So I want to show that first. And also, I do think the Astros are going to make a run this year. They're going to run right into the ground. Anyway, so... sorry, it's just a hot take. I've had strong feelings about the Astros. They're going to fall off eventually. It's happening this year. Stay tuned. Okay, take it to the bank.
Yeah. Okay.
So Framber Valdez, baseball trade value, great site. Don't take it 100%, for what it is, but they're pretty darn close, and I like using the tool because it's kind of creative. So I put in a Framber Valdez trade to the Orioles. So I want to go ahead and put this up here so that we can go ahead and show you exactly what we're looking at as what came out of baseball trade value. So, put together this. Now, you brought up Parker. He's in the last year of his contract free agent deal. Well, what if the Orioles got Framber Valdez and $3 million in cash, and the Astros got Cedric Mullins? Because who has one of the worst outfields in baseball? Well, golly gee, it's the Houston Astros. And both of these guys are in the last year of their contract. So this, if you wanted a trade, Mr. Big, of what would look like to have kind of an equal total value, you're looking at maybe something like this. If Houston is okay giving up some pitching, like you said, Parker.
Okay. I'm pretty sure the Astro. This is really splitting hairs here, but I really like this comparison because, to your point, Cedric Mullins in the last year of his deal, I would assume is probably going to be taking a walk in a free agency. Or I don't think the Orioles should extend him. I think that he should be hitting the free market.
Yeah.
So I do think this is a good deal for both sides. I don't know, though. I just don't think that the Astros have the wealth of starting pitching that they need to justify a move like this.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
also think that
I'd
if
agree
I'm
with that.
splitting hairs, really splitting hairs, I think Cedric Mullins, I don't think a left-handed bat is what the Astros would need. I think they would be more wanting a right-handed bat, especially moving into the playoffs with the Crawford boxes playing at home. I think things like that matter. Um,
Yeah, I mean,
but he's
they
going to play an
need a
electric,
guy who,
very good defensive center field in a ballpark that has interesting outfield angles and could really use a
yeah.
very good center fielder with Jose Altuve on left and is it Chas McCormick in right? So yeah, I could see this move. I could see it. I could see it. If the Astros are dealing from a place of wealth later on, maybe somebody separates themselves, kind of like Ronel Blanco did last year in their rotation. Um,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
I just wonder. I think starting pitching is such a premium, especially your three-headed monster going into the playoffs, that the Astros are not going to want to part with. Framber Valdez, who will be pitching his ass off, presumably going into a free agent offseason. I think that he's going to want to pitch in the postseason. Like, look what happened to Walker Buehler this offseason. He got probably more money than he was worth from the Red Sox, mostly because he just pitched his ass off in the postseason. So I think Framber's going to want to do that, and I think the Astros will be wanting to benefit from that.
yeah. I would think so. I did put together that Framber one. I used that as one of mine. I do have two more. But before we get to one of mine, Parker, go ahead and continue on with your first player that you had.
My first player is the slam dunk pick that I have on my board. We've talked about this before. We've talked about how the Orioles should have done this all in the offseason, but I think Sandy Alcantara should be wearing Marlins should be wearing Orioles orange and black by the end of the season. I think that he's, obviously one of those guys. He's also headed for free agency. I think you trade for Sandy. I think you extend Sandy, give him $200+ million to stick around, because that's the going rate for ace pitchers these days. Yeah, I think that's the guy. Not reigning anymore, but in his last full season, he was the NL Cy Young winner.
Point of clarification there, Parker. So, what makes Sandy so valuable, in addition to obviously what he's doing on the mound, is he actually already signed an extension.
Oh
He
my God.
is under team control. I know he's under team control for another year through 2026 with a
Okay.
27 club option, which is
Wow.
just
So
you
wow,
got to
3
get
years of
someone like
Sandy.
that.
Yeah. 3 years of
Yeah.
Sandy. And if there's any, that's the thing. So we're talking about this trade scenario with the Orioles, who could not be dealing from a place better than they are. Like, now here's it hurts
Yeah.
them and it helps them. They have all of this prospect capital, but that's the problem. The Marlins are going to want half of that prospect capital for a guy like Sandy Alcantara that's going to give you 3 years of control in the back end.
Yes. And here's the thing about these trades, Parker. You know, us as fans, I think we're naive pretty easily when it comes to these trades. But the fact of the matter is, if it's a good trade, it's gonna hurt. It's gonna hurt a little
It's
bit.
going to
That's how these things
exactly.
work.
And good executives make trades that hurt. Do you think Craig
Yes.
Breslow thought, wow, I can't wait to trade my last 2 first-round picks going into the offseason this past year? No, probably didn't.
Mm,
But what he did get
well,
was an ace that has given the Red Sox a 6-3 record in his starts
yeah.
for those
Yeah.
first
It
round picks.
hurts.
And it looks to be getting even better, because he just threw his fastest pitch of the season. I think it was the fastest pitch of his career in the last
Yeah.
start that he made against the Royals. So yeah, I think that that's the type of stuff you're going to trade your number one prospect for this guy. This is the type of guy to do that for, especially when if you truly believe in that lineup, if you truly think this is the future, you need to be trading for guys with control. And every single guy on my list, now I'm not going to take credit for Sandy, because to be honest, I thought he was a free agent at the end of the year. But every other guy on my list has control associated with them too. And I don't think you can
Yeah.
get all of them, but you need to go get one of them.
Absolutely. That's a really good one. I took a different approach, Parker. I took an approach of, let's see how many arms we could get for the Orioles, because they badly need multiple and we want to get them through 162. And let's look at the teams that would actually be willing to trade some arms, because they're either out of it or on the fringes. So I have one really maybe realistic trade, another one that's a little goofy but equated. to the fair value. So I'll start with one of mine. So one of mine, I actually went to. Let me pull it up so we can take a look at it. So I actually went to the Pirates for my first trade. The Pirates are doing pirate things. I don't know what the hell they're doing. I think they're coming in as contenders, and now we don't know what the hell is in their future.
Yep.
So I suspect that they will be willing to sell off some pitching in return for some prospects. So what I
Currently the
did,
second worst team in the National League at a 15-29 record. Sorry, go ahead.
bingo, great anecdote. But what I did was I sent prospect from the Orioles, Enrique Bradfield, outfielder. He's a guy who has really solid hit tool, fast guy. He's essentially a leadoff guy with speed, with pop, can find holes in the field. He's not going to hit for power, but he's a prototypical leadoff guy. And then Michael Foray, I also added to this list as well for the Orioles, getting a Pirates starting pitcher prospect, Braxton Ashcraft, who's been doing very well in the minors right now. He could see major league action soon. He's in AAA and he's sporting a while he's sporting a 5.10 ERA right now in the minors. It's okay, folks. His FIP is 388, and he's sported FIPs in the last couple of years of 292, 274, 299. Trust me, this guy's going to start lighting it up soon. And then Andrew Heaney, because just give me a left-handed arm that can give me some innings and not be terrible. That's an Andrew Heaney. So I gave them two from the Pirates. I kind of like this deal as something that could happen.
I like it. I like Andrew. I mean, Andrew Heaney's a guy that you're going to want to trade and try to see if somebody else can salvage. And the Pirates are kind of in the business of doing that type of thing. Get some innings out of a guy that nobody else wants, right? Like, and I'm not trying to shit on the Pirates. I am trying to shit on the Pirates. I'm not trying to shit on Pirates fans because you guys know what you've been going through. So I think that this is important for us to delineate. I like this move. It's not even somebody that came up on my radar because I was kind of looking at. I did, fun fact. My next proposal involves the Pirates as well.
Ooh.
But I went in a different direction. Like I said, everybody that I have has control. But I do enjoy the idea of this trade. At this point, you're not looking for an ace if you're the Orioles. Very, 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 very seldom are you going to get that ace in season.
No.
You're going to want to get that guy in the market, or you're going to want to get that guy in a blockbuster at the offseason. So I do enjoy the fact that this does not have an ace caliber guy in it. Yeah, no, I can totally see this happening. I also think that Brandon Ashcraft is worth a little bit more than the 9.8 that they've got him rated on in the Orioles. I think that
that's fair.
But that's going to be what it takes to get anything out of any team that knows you are that desperate for pitching. Because when you have a prospect capital like the Orioles have and such a desperate need, you are going to need to double, triple overpay for guys.
100%. All right, Parker, who do you have next?
I have the Orioles sending their number one prospect and the number two prospect overall in baseball, Samuel Basallo, over to the Pirates, 1-for-1 for Jared Jones.
That is okay.
Because has Jared Jones pitched this season?
No.
No. Is he going to pitch this season?
Maybe.
Probably not. But we're not. I did not obsess myself with what's going to happen this season because I want to make this very clear. This sounds like, this isn't going to help us now. What the hell is Parker talking about? Here's what I'm talking about. If you, I said this before, if you're truly invested in this Orioles lineup that includes so much young talent that clearly needs a year or two to develop, who better to bring into your ranks, work on, rehab, and get back on the mound to truly head up your rotation than a guy who could definitely be the ace of your staff in Jared Jones, who needs a little bit of time to get back on the mound. I don't think you are currently trying to get arms for this season. Truly do not believe it is possible for them to get enough pitching depth on this roster to truly compete this season. But I think Jared Jones could be the ace of the staff over the next 3 to 5 seasons. And I think that that's something that they need to explore.
Love that. All right. So you brought up a point that is crucially important here, and I don't want to bum out our Oriole fan friends, but your point is a good one. We are getting to the point in this season where the Orioles may have to kiss 2025 goodbye. We're
Yeah.
almost there. You can make the
We're
argument maybe we
about to
are.
be at Memorial Day.
Okay?
By the time you watch this, it might be past Memorial Day. And by Memorial Day,
Yeah.
you kind of know what the fuck's up. You know who these
That's a
teams are. And we're just trying to figure out
yes.
the wild card teams from there.
That's the checkpoint, 100%. Now, your point about bringing a guy like Jared Jones, who, by the way, is not a free agent until 2030, friends,
Yep.
2030. You can lock in a premium arm for the Orioles and give up. Yes, I know catchers are hard to come by. I know premium catchers are hard to find, but just
You know what the good
Messiah,
news is
give them up.
for the Orioles? They have a premium catcher. They truly believe in Adley Rushman. Has he
Yes.
played to that level over the last year and a half? No. I think, you know what I think? It's as simple as that. I'm going to be this guy until the day I die. Stop fucking switch hitting. Pick a side of the plate. Focus on your defense and focus on hitting
You
everything from the same side of the plate. And I think
If I
Adley
had a
Rushman
fucking
solves his
dollar
problems.
for every time you brought that up about a player, because
Yeah.
I see where you're coming from.
There is not an
I do.
organization more ready to make that change than the Orioles. Look at the guy that you tried trading away in your last trade, Cedric Mullins, could not switch to the left side of the plate, and all of a sudden now he's one of the better hitting outfielders, one of the better hitting center fielders because it's a defensive primary position in baseball.
Yeah, yeah. No, I'm with you. That trade's really solid. I would, if I'm the Orioles, I think or excuse me, no, yeah. If I'm the Orioles, I think ultimately in the negotiation they probably get more than the 1-for-1. I think they get Jared
Yeah,
Jones and a lottery ticket prospect for Basayo.
if
Um,
not 2 or
but
3 lottery tickets.
maybe, but like I love that a lot. That would be awesome.
One thing I
Now,
love that baseball has done is to make the MLB draft such an event in the All-Star break, and then
mhm,
the trade deadline happening after that. You're able to draft someone and trade them away a month later. I don't think it's happened yet for a top draft pick to be drafted and immediately traded away. We don't trade draft picks in baseball, and this is kind of the closest thing you can do. If you draft somebody that is truly good, and in baseball, you have this weird dichotomy where you can draft a lottery ticket high schooler or a damn near proven college bat. If you can draft one of those almost proven college bats and trade them almost immediately, that's a lot of capital you gain simply by spending a draft pick.
yes. So that's a great segue actually into my last one I have because you did it in a few ways. Number one is I also took the long term view on this one,
Mm-hmm.
um, and you are right. You cannot trade draft picks. However, there is an exception, and that you can trade competitive balance round
Compensatory.
picks, friends.
Yep.
So
Compensatory picks.
we can do that. So what we're gonna do with this trade is we're gonna call the Southsiders of Chicago. Yes, I went there on this one.
I fucking knew
Uh,
you'd do. I didn't do this for you, by the way. I didn't trade any of your pitching depth for you.
this one, and you may be even surprised how much how I didn't go to the absolute premium depth for the White Sox because they have so much good pitching, and I think Chris Getz and company did a great job so they can do moves like this. Here's what I have. Okay, folks. The White Sox are filling
Oh
the Cedric Mullen
man.
gap. I know. This was the bold one, folks. The White Sox are giving up Luis Robert Jr., Davis Martin, who still has team control left and actually is a solid
Mm-hmm.
innings eater. Okay, guys, this is not anyone to scoff at. His last few starts have been fantastic. Right now, he is sporting a 3.65 ERA. Okay, this is one of those guys that's a solid number 3. He's going to give you innings. And then Caleb Bonnemer, who is essentially a 19, 20-year-old shortstop, one of their top prospects. You always want premium positions up the middle of the diamond. We're giving you one of those. Who you're giving us? The headliner here is Kobe Mayo, Judd Fabian, an outfielder. You're going to give us that round B compensatory balance or comp balance pick, and then we're going back to Enrique Bradfield. This is a really close match according to baseball uh, trade
Trade values.
trade values. I cannot talk today. This is not my night. I literally have never struggled to word and sentence in my goddamn life. Anyway, yes. So this trade, Parker, this was kind of being bold, but if this happened tomorrow, I'm pretty excited about this.
Yeah, I could see this definitely happen. Davis Martin, obviously, being the big name coming from the going to the Orioles. Excuse me, and then it really does help a depth and longevity and youth issue. You have to have all three of those things, and Kobe Mayo is those things, and Enrique Bradfield is those things, and also gives the White Sox the ability to draft and let Chris Getz flex the muscles that he has shown to have in the draft. So yeah, I do enjoy the thought of this deal. You just can't wait for Luis Robert Jr. to be off your team, huh?
Okay, so let's be very clear here. I don't want him off my team, but I
He
have
will be.
psyched myself out so much, and I've come to terms with this that now, like you're just like, I've come to terms with this, so just fucking do it now because I can't wait. That's where I'm at right now.
Yeah,
So,
fair. Yeah, just go get something good
it
for
is
him, and
what
I
it
think
is.
everybody will be fine.
Yeah, everyone will be fine. Parker, do you have another one, or was that all for you?
I have one last one.
Ooh.
And this is one. All I did for this one was I went to teams that are currently underperforming and probably will continue to underperform and are probably looking on the outside looking in for the rest of the season. And I tried to find a guy that was found money. Like you didn't count on it, but you're getting it. And so, what better thing to do than to trade high, sell high on a guy that is seemingly overperforming, but potentially has a lot of upside? And where I
Ooh.
landed was with the Cincinnati Reds.
Oh.
I landed with the Cincinnati Reds and a guy who has gone from kind of being a middle of the road starter with nothing that really jumped off the page to really performing in a limited, albeit limited, amount of work this year. And I landed on Andrew Abbott, who has made 6 starts for the
Ooh.
Reds. And in those 6 starts has posted a 2.10 ERA. He is currently in his third big league season. So mental math there. He has got 3 more years of control after this year. And the ERA plus this year is a 2.13. Now, why do I say he's found money? Well, over the last 2 years, he has been very solid in his age 24 and 25 seasons. It was a 3.87 ERA, a 3.72 ERA, but the ERA plus in those seasons was 120 and 118. Now, it looks
Mm.
like he was pretty lucky. His FIP is 420 and 504. But this year, he's still getting lucky on his FIP, but his FIP's a 307. So even if it was the worst case scenario for him, he's probably got around a 3.35 ERA. And that's the kind of guy that you can get on the staff that is just going to go out there and put up innings. He's going to be solid. He's going to give you a chance to win every single time he goes out there, and you have him for this season as well as 3 seasons following this. And I think that's the kind of guy the Orioles really need to focus on. And I think that is a guy that is very feasible to get this year, especially because the Reds, if for my money, should be looking for young position player depth to build around their current core of guys like Ellie de la Cruz, Christian Encarnacion Strand, and guys like that. They have a guy at the top of their rotation in Nick Lodolo that is really going to be good for a while, and I think that they should probably keep him around. They have Hunter Green, who's actually throwing the shit out of the baseball this year. He's going to be around for a while, and he's maybe one of the best pitchers in the National League. But a guy like Andrew Abbott kind of seems like, yes, he would probably start the third game of a playoff series for them, but you can figure out that third start if it means bringing in the prospect capital that the Orioles are able to give up. I think you're trading away a Samuel Basallo. I think you're trading away maybe a Kobe Mayo, one of those guys as a headliner, and then maybe a comp pick or something like that on top of it to sweeten the deal. But Andrew Abbott seems like the kind of guy that you would be willing to trade and also willing to trade for, especially in the position that both of these teams are in.
Wow, that's very compelling. I actually like that one a lot. I disagree to an extent on this Reds' willingness to trade him, and this is
Okay.
mainly only off of unique White Sox experiences. They've been prospect hugging in talks
Mm-hmm.
with Luis Robert Jr. for the last year and a half. So I know that they are hesitant to trade prospects, certainly pitching. Having said that, if they were going to trade any of their pitchers, I agree with you. I think it is Abbott. But if you look at Abbott too, let me just add what's making his season pretty remarkable for a guy for a younger guy like him who only has 3 years in the league. Right now, his K percentage, Parker, is 31.7%, and he's 11.4 K per nine. That is stud
That is
level
ace
pitching.
stuff. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. That's like having another Garrett Crochet in your rotation. That's what
Yeah.
you're looking at right now, other
And
than, and
that's a
he's
good comp
advantage of.
because he is a lefty.
Yes. So, to your point, Parker, if I could wrap this up and bring this all together here, you made a really good point. Like, these are the type of pitchers that the Orioles should be after right now because they're in a unique balance here. This isn't a team where we're going to make a superpower, you know, uh, league best rotation and let that
Mm-hmm.
win the day. They just need to have their pitching meet their offense. They have the
Mm-hmm.
players on offense. They have the team to win a 10-5, 10-4, hell, 9-6 ball game. But they just need the innings and they need guys you can rely on. If you're putting together a rotation headlined by Zach Eflin, say what you want, Zach Eflin, Andrew Abbott, a Davis Martin, like those type of guys, I think you make your team better by a lot and you make them better now.
Do you know what team that reminds me of in very, very recent history? A team who's
Hmm.
just desperate for their rotation to meet the quality of play of their lineup. The 2024 last year's Cleveland Guardians.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the Cleveland
You
Guardians had basically no starting pitching last season,
no.
and they were held together by a good lineup and a fantastic bullpen and the best closer in baseball. And I'm not saying that the Orioles have a great lineup or one of the best bullpens in baseball, but they have a lineup that they are being forced to believe in right now. Like, and you
Yes.
kind of
Yes.
have to, unless you decide you're trading them all away, and then your depth is basically as much as the Marlins have right now. Everybody on your team is young and underdeveloped, and you're praying that it all works out. So you're trying to find somebody in a sweet spot of their career that can come contribute now and over the next few years. And Andrew Abbott, being 26 years old, I think gives them that ability.
And I mean, Parker, if there's any lineup though that I think can go on a hot streak and turn it around, I think it is this Orioles lineup. And this is
Oh
not
yeah.
even including the Jordan Westbergs of the world, the Colton Cowsers of the world that are still on the IL, Gary Sanchez also on the IL. I think they have potential if they can put the offense together and just get steady, stable pitching. They could sneak into a wild card here, and that's all you need to do. Just punch the ticket to the dance. What I fear about the Orioles, and this gets back to the main point of all this and why we even did this exercise. You know, you mentioned it out of the gate. This is the offense of the future, players of the future. This team on the offensive side is all bought in for the next 4 to 6 years on these guys. If they don't make these moves really soon, that future becomes the present, and then you have a problem. And
It's
if
going
they
to
do not,
be on the level of the, if not worse than the White Sox teams that were supposed to like win a World Series 3, 4, 5 years
yeah,
ago. That's going to be what we're going
it,
to compare them to.
but this is worse, Parker. And I'm not just saying it because I'm a
Oh
Sox
yeah, there's
fan.
more
Here's why
talent
this is.
here.
Yes, and guess what? They're relatively healthy. The problem with the White Sox
Oh
is
yeah,
they were part-time players. They were never on the goddamn field. These guys are healthy and they're talented and they're up and down this lineup. It would be a catastrophic failure.
for sure. They definitely could have used. They weren't even in the sweepstakes, and this is just me talking from a place of Red Sox, but like they could have used an Alex Bregman. They could have used a really veteran bat that's won a World Series and knows what it takes to win and can just stand next to the batting cage and be like, why are you moving your hands so much? Or something, you know what I'm saying? Like something like that. Like, can go to a young dude at his locker after a game and be like, hey, we're going out for dinner. Yeah, I know you went 0 for 5 with 4Ks. I don't care. Let's go. We're going out and getting steaks. And like a guy who can do that is such a force in a clubhouse like that I just think that
Yeah.
that's the kind of guy they need to look to add in the next upcoming offseason. And truly this team is pitching away. I really do believe that the Orioles have a lineup that they can put their hang their hat on here in the next like 3 years. It's just what is actually going to happen in terms of supplementing the rotation.